So we believe in reading I think it's the Hargrove case, that it is already covered in case law, but it's not considered in the statute. There has been a call by some to make that a misdemeanor, and we're going to weigh our options as to whether to just simply remain silent on it because we believe that the case law already covers it, or whether to push forward making it a felony in statute. But we are going to weigh those options.
You mentioned that hunting had been a issue that got caught up in this. It seems like in the past debates on it, the cockfighting issue got caught up in it as well. I'm trying to remember if that's totally out of it now and not part of it, so it won't get mixed up with that.
Yeah, if you recall, Dave, a few years ago when we passed that bill, it was an animal fighting law bill that we were passing, and now this is simply dog on dog. And during that process, someone added cockfighting into the legislation. That caused a heartache, and I'm certainly no fan, nor am I in favor of cockfighting. But I will tell you that we want success, and if we can take this step first and make sure we're outlawing dog on dog fighting, then I think we'll have great success. When we begin looking at cockfighting and hog dog rodeos, some of the other things we talked about, it makes it much more difficult to get all that through at once.
A lot of folks have raised pit bulls for whatever other reason, for show or just because they think they're great pets or whatever. A lot of those folks would possibly be concerned that they might be caught up in this, even if charges were eventually dropped. What would your message be to pit bull fanciers?
Right. If you're raising any dog, whether it be pit bull or anything else, and you're not doing it directly for the purpose of fighting that dog, you have absolutely nothing to worry about. And I would assume that would cover 99.9% of the people. Yes, pit bulls are the dog of choice right now for dog fighters, but I can assure you if we were to outlaw pit bulls, they would simply choose some other dog. And the thing about it is what I've learned through this process. When I first became interested a number of years ago, when a 3-year-old in my district was attacked by a pit bull that we believe was involved in dog fighting, my initial reaction was, of course, let's just ban pit bulls. But then as I began to study it, I recognized that it's not the breed of dog that is the problem. It is the evil person that trains the dog to be a killer. So if it's not a pit bull, it will just be something else. And so we don't want to, nor would I ever support any legislation that goes after a specific breed of dog. I believe that dogs are created to be man's best friend. They are great and wonderful pets, and that they only become dangerous when people train them to be that way.
Just to clarify, are you talking about a fine of $20,000 to $25,000 on a first offense? Is that what you would potentially like to see in this?
Well, we would leave a lot of latitude to the judge, but we would like to see a case where on a first offense you could potentially be fined up to that amount, so that if it were a case where you had a $20,000 or $25,000 purse, that the judge could fine them in a range similar to what they were fighting for. Now, of course, if it was two guys on the street just happened to be fighting a dog with each other, the judge would certainly have the latitude not to institute that fine. But we do want to raise that limit to the economic realities of not only what's happening in dog fighting, but the economic realities of today.
How important is it to have some sort of provision targeting spectators?
Well, if you don't have spectators, you don't have dog fights. So I think it's extremely important that if you are knowingly involved in a dog fighting event, that you're guilty of some sort of criminal activity. What that is ultimately will be decided by the legislature. But I think there has to be some punishment for being involved. I mean, these dog fights are not something that you just normally walk up upon. And if you do, you wouldn't be charged with any crime anyway. But if you're actually going to someone's house where they have lookouts outside making sure law enforcement doesn't show up, and you're going down into some basement that is fully secured, and there's a pit there, and dogs are killing each other, and you are, in most cases, probably gambling on it, yeah, you need to be charged with some sort of criminal activity because it is you, the spectator, that is making it possible.
I have a quick question maybe for the sheriff.
Okay.
In the recent Snellville case, I understand DA Porter had to drop a lot of the charges. I don't know whether it was all of them or some of them because of some of the issues with the law that you couldn't prove that they were actually in the ring with the dogs, practically.
3 of the individuals had their cases dismissed. The evidence was circumstantial. They lived at the residence. It's beyond belief that they weren't involved in dogfighting, but under the current law, they couldn't be prosecuted and convicted.
Would a tougher law have allowed you to at least start a case against them without bringing it a little farther along?
I think there would have been much better chance of conviction under Senator Rogers' bill. I had no idea that there was dogfighting taking place in Gwinnett County. I was surprised after offering the reward at the information that we did receive from the public, and we're still receiving information and following leads.
Have you given that reward to anybody? I mean, have you had an opportunity to do that yet?
No. The cases have been made through investigation from other sources.
How much is your reward?
$10,000.
And that's your own
Mhm.
personally? Tell me why did you decide to do that?
I saw an interview of a lady on the news, local media, that said there wasn't anything wrong with dogfighting and it was taking place all over the state of Georgia. And it just infuriated me to the point that I wanted to prove it wasn't taking place in Gwinnett County. But as I said, I've been surprised. And
Sure, because dogfighting events, you hear this a lot about strip clubs, you know, that they also are attractive areas for other
Right.
types of crime.
Well,
Do you see that as well with dogfights?
of course, they're attended by the criminal element to begin with. Dogfighting just begets other crimes, drugs. Everything's involved with the people that fight dogs. I mean, they're the type people that are committing other crimes. They're not our good, upstanding citizens that are fighting dogs or attending dog fights.
You said initially this included the transporting of dogs. Is there a means in this bill for seizing property, vehicles, or is that a
No, there's not to my knowledge, or I wrote the bill, so yeah, I have the knowledge, but no, there's nothing in the bill referencing seizing property of those people involved, but that's certainly something that we could look at. I think if we find them appropriately and send them to jail, that'll send the proper message.
And at this point, we seize their equipment as contraband and evidence. And Senator Rogers' bill also allows judges to ban these people from owning dogs, which is a very important aspect of it.
Chip, we were getting some notices from animal rights groups describing a kind of a sport, maybe it's a variation on the hog rodeo, where a dog owner will let a dog loose within a fenced area to go after a coyote or a fox, which are technically canines. Would this bill cover that?
It would not whatsoever. That has been brought to our attention. Of course, when you get into those type of arguments, then you start to have to argue, what is a pen? How large is a pen? Is a pen 30 acres or is it 30 square yards? And at this point, this bill is so important that I really don't want to have it to begin arguing about those type of issues. I think we've got it as clean as we can possibly get it. Witness the 54-0 vote in the Senate. Everyone that I've sat down with and talked to about this, from hunting activists to dog rights activists, they all agree that what we have is the right piece of legislation because it specifically goes after canine on canine fighting. I don't want to cost my good friend the sheriff here $10,000, but once we have this law in place, I think he'll have a much greater chance of convicting people in Gwinnett County, and we will all across this state, and bringing a stop to this. One thing I think that's important to remember about where we are with our current dogfighting laws and where we'd like to go is over this summer, the Humane Society ranked every state in America. And they ranked Georgia tied for 49th on our dogfighting laws, so that can show you we are at the very bottom. I asked them to review Senate Bill 16 and then to report back where would we be if Senate Bill 16 were the law. They told me that it would raise us from 49th up to number 3. So instead of being the dogfighting haven that we are, we would be a place that dogfighters would know, don't go to Georgia because you're going to be prosecuted and it's not going to be nice. So that's the type of reputation we want for our state, is that if you're a dogfighter, this is not the place you want to be.
Sheriff, do you have any knowledge of any prosecutions of dogfighting cases in Gwinnett, even with the current law?
Now, we have one individual in custody now that has been indicted for dogfighting. That's the only case I know of in Gwinnett,
That's the first one.
and I've been there a long time.
Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. And if you have any further questions, just call me.